Well, thank you so much for having me, Jen. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to sort of switching things up a little bit. And instead of talking about all the wonderful case studies and success stories, we're going to talk a little bit about how you get to the point where you have all those wonderful case studies, because it doesn't just land out of the sky. So I've broken the presentation into into 3 sections plus Q&A. So we're going to talk a little bit first about how to find a good partner. We're going to talk about, once you find that partner, how do you conceive an exceptional campaign? And then how do we execute a solid strategy to make sure that you bring it to life? So I wanted to start with sharing a story about finding the right partner. And so how many of you will be willing to confess, along with myself, that when you are on an airplane and the person next to you asks what you do, sometimes you really don't feel like talking about it? Yeah, okay, so I frequently use the teacher card because I always have some sort of paperwork with me. And so people, oh, are you a teacher? Yes. Yes, I'm a teacher. And that usually shuts them up. But this one particular time, I'm flying back from Seattle to Atlanta, so I picked a really long flight. Wasn't that smart? And this gentleman asked me what I do, and I told him. And so, of course, the next question was, oh, I need you to help find me a partner for my nonprofit that I'm on the board of. And what I need you to do actually is, I've been trying, I'm in Seattle, I'm trying to get in to see Microsoft, and I just can't seem to get an appointment, and I just know that they need to support our mission. And I said, okay, great, so what is your mission? And he said, well, we are helping farmers in South Africa to have greater production of crops, and it is really important. And I said, yeah, that is really important. What's the tie to Microsoft? He goes, oh, well, they're really rich, and they really ought to be sponsoring us. And so frequently, that is what people think makes a great partner. They must have deep pockets. They must want to sponsor us. And alas, that's not the most successful strategy. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you really can accomplish that. I'm going to go through the next several slides very, very quickly because I feel like Jen gave me a great introduction and I don't want to bore you too much. I have been doing this for a long time. I'm a bit of a veteran, and the agency that I run is called For Momentum, and what makes us a little bit unique is that we are 100% focused on this intersection. So we help nonprofits who want to have effective corporate collaborations, and we help companies who want to more effectively support their nonprofit partners. And so we live in that portion of the Venn diagram, if you will, that helps to bring these partnerships to life. And we've worked with a whole bunch of different brands and clients. We're proud to have worked with a lot of folks even in the room, so it's good to see friends. So I want to understand a little bit more about the audience that I'm working with. So I'd like to take a quick show of hands. How many of you, this is your first job in cause marketing? Okay, just a couple. Okay, so how many of you have been in the space for 1 to 3 years? Okay, and 4 to 5 years? And over 5 years? Okay, so I'm going to do a random drawing of those over 5 years and have you come up and finish the presentation. I hope that you will, obviously, seriously, there are a lot of you who could probably teach a lot of this curriculum, so I hope that you will get some nuggets out of this, and I try to always make it something new and a new idea for you to take away. Someone else already also asked this question, but if you don't mind, I want to ask it again because I couldn't see the room at the time. So if I could see a show of hands for how many nonprofit? Okay, great. And corporate? Okay, and agency? Okay, thank you very much. That will just help me tailor my stories a little bit better. So let's get started. And you'll notice that this is a theme of, start to finish. So we're going to be doing a lot of car analogies today. So I wanted to start with a definition because, working in this space, I have learned that cause marketing sometimes means different things to different people. And showing by the show of hands, I think you guys understand, but maybe your prospects don't understand what cause marketing really is. Because 9 times out of 10, when you talk to a new partner who's not good at cause or hasn't done cause yet, they think that cause marketing is, I'm going to buy this widget and 10 cents is going to go to a charity. And that's certainly one type of cause marketing, but is not the most robust. So we like to define it as a mutually beneficial relationship, leveraging the assets from both brands, that it raises funds and awareness. And awareness is really critical, a really huge benefit of cause marketing that your board doesn't necessarily think of because they just want unrestricted dollars, but there are other benefits as well. And that you, if you're doing a really good job with your partnerships, you're engaging a brand's stakeholders in the mission. And finally, that you're enhancing brand equity and that you can really help to provide differentiation for your brand, whether you are the nonprofit or the corporate. You're hoping to leverage this kind of relationship to get more awareness of your mission. So the way that we start with that, and I told you lots of car analogies, but this is meant to demonstrate that there is no one right size, shape, or form of a partner. Partners are different based on what you are looking for, and the right partner is one that has true mission alignment with your organization, that has the right brand match with your organization. It may be that it's the right partner for a particular offering that you have. So, for example, a partner that you have, like the blogosphere example that we had earlier, that's a very segmented part of what the UN Foundation does, and yet they have over here the Give a Shot, Give a Life, which, different audiences. So different types of partners for different offerings that you bring to the marketplace. And last but not least, your policies and guidelines, from the earlier presentation about political things, might also be a factor in helping you find the right partner. The next thing that's really important is the marketing fit. So for this type of engaged partnership, I'm not talking about a company who is stroking you a check. I'm not talking about a company that is buying a table at your gala or a foursome at your golf outing. I'm talking about a true marketing fit. You're going to have alignment around your target market, around the assets and benefits that you are looking for and bringing to the partnership table. There should be obviously alignment around timing, and I think that's really the place where most partnership discussions fall apart. Because frankly, a lot of nonprofits go out to a corporation for partnership in the same year that they want to have that activity happen, and the budget just isn't there. So you have got to really work on your timing and that there's budget available. So, and then last but not least, the right partner is one that you can find, that you can reach, right? So, it's the story I shared from the airplane. He thought that Microsoft was the right partner because they're big and have deep pockets in his market. But he had no way to get in there. He actually had no marketing benefits either. So that aside, sometimes you find the right partner because you can get into that company. Or you can get into that nonprofit. I know a lot of our clients have nonprofit aspirations of organizations they want to work with, and sometimes those nonprofits won't work with that particular brand. So it's a matter of finding those warm leads as well as filling your new pipeline. And then, of course, again, budget cycles and approval process are all part of the process. From the nonprofit perspective, you're looking for good message and brand match. I mean, you certainly aren't going to work with a corporation whose brand, I think I could say this example, we don't want any pink buckets, right? So we don't want to have a mismatch between fried chicken and breast cancer when, unhealthy eating is one of the causes. So, or one of the risk factors. So you want to have that first and foremost, that message and brand match. You want to achieve funding. You want to achieve awareness. You have to live within your organizational policies and culture. And from the corporate perspective, the corporate partners looking to meet their objectives and brand goals, they have their own performance measures that they're trying to reach and the sufficient ROI that they need to accomplish. So, both partners have something that they are looking for in the other. This is a slide, and I apologize that this is a little bit of mice type, and also Jennifer and I spoke about this earlier. You'll see that in a few minutes my presentation is very checklist oriented. Like, I hope that this will be a guide that you can take back to your planning process And so if you will give us your card, we'll certainly get that out to anyone who's interested, and then you can see this a little bit better. But basically, for Momentum, we conducted some research last year to really talk to brand decision makers about what is it that you're looking for in a partnership. I mean, you've got all these different nonprofits that are calling on you. What helps them stand through the clutter? What are you really looking for? And so what they said, 92% of them said, is that there has to be brand mission alignment. And that's why my friend from the airplane wasn't having much success. There was no brand mission alignment in that story. They also want to know that you are able to create awareness and visibility with the partnership, and that you're going to be able to showcase corporate social responsibility initiatives and increase brand loyalty. There were a lot of other factors, and these are the top 4 that our brand decision makers said they were looking for. How many of you nonprofits in the room feel like sometimes all the good partners are taken? There's a feeling of that in the industry. So I wanted to put in this slide from the research to share with you, to not take that to heart so much, because the majority of our respondents said that they work with multiple brands, multiple nonprofit partners. There are a smaller percentage of brands out there that will only work with one, and that's great. But there are many, many that are looking, they take into account multiple philanthropic types of opportunities, and so there is opportunity ahead, and don't give up. So when we ask them what makes the difference, what makes them choose to support another brand, the answer was because they came to me with a creative idea. So the earlier panel, I love listening to some of the remarks there about, you should come to me with an idea, you should come to me with a clear fit of how it advances my brand and how it fits together, and our research really, really bore that out. So we also asked them within the partnership, what is it that you're looking to achieve? And so we find here that they are looking to first and foremost, they're looking for positive impact that supports the mission. That's that big blue 76%. So that's a shift in our industry. For any of you who have been doing this for 30 years like me, that's a real shift. That used to not be the key factor. In fact, when I revealed this research, a lot of nonprofits cried wolf and said, I don't believe that for a minute. And I was like, well, maybe you need to stand back and listen to the brands who are saying this. They really, truly do want not just to align their brand with a sales, promotion. Yes, they need to advance their business goals, but they are looking to also make positive impact that supports the mission. So really think about how you can integrate, even if it's a particular joint initiative that you can embark upon together, but make sure that you are achieving something meaningful. So I'm going to move into the second section of content, which is conceiving an exceptional campaign. And so, you found your partner, or you found the types of partners that you're wanting to go after, and now you need to make sure that you're creating something that's really going to stand out in the marketplace. And so, in the spirit of a picture is worth 1,000 words, I felt like maybe I should just show you some outstanding examples from the marketplace to really demonstrate my point. So what I am going to share with you are campaign elements that drive fundraising, campaign elements that drive awareness, and campaign elements that involve employee integration. And somewhere in these examples, I hope that you will find 2 or 3 or 4 ideas that you as a company can look at leveraging with your nonprofit partners, and you as nonprofit partners can look at bringing to your companies. So fundraising is the basic one, and we all know pink, 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 October pink. So in this particular case, there is a long-standing promotion that was launched a long time ago that's very well known, and if you ask like the general consumer for an example of cause marketing, this one frequently comes up. And I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with the Save Lives to Save Lives campaign. But some things that you might not know that have changed, the program is 17 to 18 years old. It has raised over $35 million. It's a percentage of sale campaign. It used to be that you had to lick the lids and mail them in and, collect all of that. Now it's much more, scan codes and things like that to keep it a little bit easier. And now what's really important, and what I'm sure Young Survivor Coalition is appreciative of, is that they are opening it up to multiple nonprofit partners. So it's no longer just a one-on-one partnership. It is now a multiple partner initiative. A second type of fundraising that's really well known is the Subaru Share the Love event. And this is more of a promotional window in time. It's around the holiday time when a lot of cars are purchased. And they feature 4 to 5 nonprofits. They have a standard partner in ASPCA that is always the evergreen partner that's there. But then they rotate the other partners to allow their stakeholders to have some input into who they're going to support. And that's a really important shift that we're seeing in the marketplace, where companies are looking more to involve the opinions and passions of different stakeholder groups. And then here's a shot with a lot of different types, but again, in the spirit of when you're thinking about campaign elements, be creative. Who would have thought that handing out a menu and crayons, which they do for free anyway, but instead asking folks to donate $1 would generate tens of millions of dollars to support St. Jude? Or how many of you have had a yellow bracelet or some other color that mimicked that? So a great fundraising idea is to sell a little product that's very affordable. The far right-hand side is an example from Wendy's, and I think this is ingenious because it really goes to a brand standard of a key brand of their company, which is the Frosty. And if you donate $1 rather to their charity, then you get this little key fob that you can get a small Frosty every time you visit the store. So great bounce back, great ongoing branding. From the retail side, we've got something like Macy's Shop for a Cause, where you make a donation and you get a shopping pass for discounts all day. And then we have very famous programs like Box Top Save Lids to Save Lives, or other, where they're getting consumers to purchase products with some loyalty. A couple of more fundraising ideas. So the Ford program is a really good example of they created a specialty product that they're now known for that has nothing to do with cars, because obviously even though Subaru successfully is able to do Subaru Shares the Love, you don't buy a new car as often as you buy a t-shirt, and so they've created this whole line of wear that raises money. And then along the lower section is a coupon book that is sold from Jiffy Lube to support Go Red for Women. Their marketing message or mission was to get more women customers and to get more frequency with their customers. So with this, they could do both. They were targeting women, and this is a coupon book of bounce back coupons to come back for more deals throughout the year. And then last but not least, the round for round brackets is an example of a social media fundraiser where they, during March Madness, if you used Infinity's bracket system to make your Final Four picks, they would donate $1 to ACS, and it raised over $700,000 in year one. So lots of different ways that you can raise money. It's not always just add $1 at checkout. All this. Think of the retail segment as being the one who really can generate the most income in cause marketing, but when you're going after partners that aren't a retail partner, you have to come up with additional ways to help them activate. And then I have to give a final shout out to the granddaddy of them all, which is the add $1 or scannable. So that very basic fundraiser that started with shamrocks and balloons has grown and grown and grown, and is raised hundreds of millions of dollars each year. So those are a wide variety of examples, sorry about that, of fundraising types of campaign elements. And so I want to talk a little bit about awareness types of elements. This is a crucial part of a successful campaign. It's really going to be a good differentiator for both partners in the campaign. And so the examples that I have here, The Progresso Heart Project is an example of an educational-based awareness initiative where they, Progresso and Mayo Clinic partner together for an educational outreach campaign to educate women about heart health. The lower example is an awareness month example, and that's the oldest trick in the book. There's also obviously a lot of social media types of awareness, and then on the lower right hand is a certification program, which can be a great way. And then last but not least, and this one's starting to push the envelope a little bit more, is a special product. So this is the Mike and Ike Alex Lemonade Stand flavored candy. So this is an evergreen promotion that is really, bringing together the two brands of Mike and Ike's and Alex's Lemonade Stand. So I'm just going to go through a few other examples that we're seeing in the marketplace to help you with your brainstorming around generating successful awareness efforts. So has anybody seen the commercials going on? The next red day is about to hit us. So this is a great example of driving awareness through the media partnership between with NBC and charities that help children in poverty. There's also traditional media. So these are just a couple of examples of cause messaging in traditional advertising. Of course, through social media can be a really excellent integration point where, you can leverage. This was an example of Purple Your Profile. Did anybody see this campaign when it hit the marketplace? It was one of the early Color Your Profile type efforts. It was actually promoted on the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they were able to generate 1.3 million Facebook posts and over 700,000 Twitter posts with the purple profile. So great opportunity to generate awareness. Celebrity is a great way. If you have the benefit of a celebrity that is well known, in acting or sports or whatever, that can be great. Just remember that celebrities come in many different shapes, sizes, and forms. So a celebrity might be a local fireman or a local policeman or someone who ties to your mission that brings that celebrity appeal for your particular topic area. It doesn't always have to be, Angelina Jolie, although we would all love to work with celebrities of that stature. And then this is a new way, very innovative way to bring awareness to some nonprofit partnerships, everything from shaving hair to growing hair. And then your participants become your walking awareness billboards. So, of course, No Shave November, where they ask men to not shave for the month, and then they ask them to donate the cost of what they would have spent on their shaving products for the month. But it generates a lot of buzz. A lot of the media personalities now let their mustache and beard grow through the whole month and talk about they're constantly giving a shout out to No Shave November. And then St. Baldrick's, the other end of the extreme, where people are shaving their heads in unity with children who are battling cancer. So that was a wide variety of different types of awareness types of elements. And, the only limit to this is your creativity. So, I've given you a lot of examples of successful ones in the marketplace, but really what needs to happen, and forgive me, I don't remember all the names of the presenters, but the woman who was talking about how she went in to Walgreens with one idea, and then 6 months later, they came out with a different idea. You have to be really flexible. And your one idea is not the only idea. It's all about partnership and how you both want to bring that campaign to life. The last section I want to talk about, the last key activation strategy that I want to talk about is employee involvement. And so this has really catapulted in the last few years. This is, again, for the veterans like me who've been doing this for 30 years, we saw some of these things like the Lee denim, and I didn't know that Mike was going to be in the room. So Mike, thanks for that great campaign. So it's a matter of donating, so that you can wear jeans on Friday. Or maybe it's even a bit more advanced where it's a Team Depot where they have a standardized volunteer day where everybody, like, and again, I can use an example from Mike's presentation where they went and built a Kaboom playground. So there's that kind of employee involvement. I'm going to call that sort of like the regimented flash in the pan, like they do it all in one day, once a year, and they engage their employees that way. The upper right-hand picture is a team for a walk. That's another great way to engage employees. And, sort of, the Go Red for Women type of, wear your red dress and money will be donated. So that's one type of employee involvement. And many nonprofits struggle to provide, a volunteer engagement activity. So this can be a nice alternative because you don't have to come on site and read to children to be able to, to do an on-site activity or to, dress down for casual day. But in volunteer engagement is really much more of the direction that we're seeing companies want to take. So they truly want to engage. They are leveraging their partnership with nonprofits and good causes to really generate employee motivation and employee loyalty. And so I've given you a couple of examples here. So of course, a very well-known one would be the builds that happen with Habitat for Humanity. But there are also one-on-one partnerships that can be generated. So for those of you that are trying to think of ways that you can engage your employees and you can't have everybody leave for a particular day, because you need to have someone manning the phones or whatever, or if you really truly want to generate sort of some long-term engagement, you can work with nonprofits on much more of a one-on-one type of volunteer engagement. So whether it's volunteering at a shelter, or whether it's delivering Meals on Wheels to seniors, or whether it's mentoring a child throughout the year. So there are a lot of different ways that you can integrate brands into your mission. And again, I can't represent every nonprofit brand in the room, but you need to think about what can you do to have your corporate partners really touch your mission in creative ways that aren't necessarily going on site all the time. And then the last example is sort of on the spectrum of way integrated. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Taco Bell program, but this is an example of an employee integration program that has become a cultural cornerstone in their mission. So the reason is because they target teenagers for consumers. They are the largest purchasers of their food products, but also employees. The bulk of their employees are teenagers. And so they've really put a lot of emphasis on creating awareness and integration and relationships with teenagers. And their platform includes stay-in-school initiatives for the high schoolers, and also first job opportunities. Like they need the workforce, and teenagers need jobs, and so they're trying to leverage this program to keep kids in school to graduate and to help kids get their first job. And then they have a college scholarship program that helps them also, move on to the next phase of their life. So those are some examples of awareness, of fundraising awareness in corporate culture. And then this next slide is meant to say that, there is no one right way to create a really effective integrated partnership. And so what I've put up here is moving from left to right. There are lots of different ways that you can put together activation elements between you and your partner. And really kind of the more you're willing to put your effort and your skin in the game, the bigger the flower will be. So, there's on the one end, there's things like in-kind licensing and certification that's very low involvement. Once you get your product certified, then you can just, put the product logo on there. But as you move further on, event sponsorship or employee engagement takes a little more effort. And consumer fundraising or a signature campaign, again, a little bit more effort. And so advocacy, where you're really joining on a joint mission to bring awareness to an issue. And then last but not least, on the far right-hand side, the case study examples that we all hear about from the stage, the really truly integrated partnerships where both parties are activating, those are dream partnerships. And those are the ones that everyone likes to get up on the stage and be really proud to present. But the reality is not all partnerships are case study worthy. You have to start somewhere. So, a lot of times we're coaching our nonprofit clients that, Go Red for Women wasn't born overnight. That campaign took 10 years to formulate to the point where it got the kind of awareness that you need. So this is meant to say, when you're starting the partnership and you need to find a good logical starting point that works for you both, here are some ideas for you. Again, we'll send you the slides if you're interested in having this sort of as a planning guide to help you establish good elements for your campaign. So I want to move to the last section, which is executing a solid strategy. And this is a section that is very much tactical planning tools that I hope you will find useful to help you really get back to your organization and establish an effective plan. And this chart is one that we have created to kind of guide our clients through a planning process. And what you will see is that there are 10, I'm going to call them activation elements that corporate partners really want. That you are really, if you're going to have a happy partner, you're going to be delivering one or more or all 10 of these types of activities. So since this is a little bit hard to read, I'm going to tell you what it says. So there's creating awareness and visibility, activating or creating differentiation for the product, gaining accessibility to good content. That's a huge benefit that many companies are looking for. Generating positive publicity and creating buzz, targeting a specific audience, increasing employee morale and retention, increasing stakeholder relationships, and that could be with consumers or could be with employees, could be with vendors, increasing brand loyalty and showcasing community support and CSR impact. So that's the end game. You're trying to look for things that you can deliver in those 10 types of activation strategies. And so I'm going to now take you through some steps of how you can figure out what you have to offer in that area. So the first is to make an asset inventory. And so we want you to make a list of all your organization's assets. And this works both ways, for the nonprofit and the company. Because for those of you who raised your hand that you work for a company, you know that the assets that you bring to the partnership are not just dollars. There are so many things that your nonprofit partner needs from you, and you can make a much more robust partnership by really leveraging all of your assets. So the next few slides are literally checklists that I'm hoping you will print out and read when you get home. We decided not to print this out in advance because people are, we don't want to waste trees. But you can use this when you get home to really guide. I encourage you to bring together a cross-departmental, a set of cross-departmental representatives and buy them a pizza and have a brainstorming session and think about all the things that you can list in terms of your organizational assets. And I've listed a few to get you going here that from an organizational perspective, you have your mission, your brand, your halo, your reputation, your culture. You have a geographic footprint, and that can be either national or international or very, very local. And, back to the image of the cars, there's no one car that gets you from point A to point B. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And so when you are looking at your footprint, if you're international, you're going to bring that to market in a very different way than if you are a local shelter in one market. And that's okay. There's no one way to be. You just have to own who you are and look for partners that are going to value that. Relationship assets are often overlooked. We don't think about the valuable relationship assets that we have. So these are executives within your organization or board members, your staff, be it national, be it store level or field level. You have followers on your social media, you have volunteers or beneficiaries that you benefit, and so on and so forth. So again, my point today is to not sit here and give you, read all these slides to you. My point is to say, I want you to go back to your organization and have a brainstorming session and really bring in people from not just from your department, but from other departments who will see it through different eyes than you look at it every day. And I promise you, you will find more assets that you can bring to the partner table that you're sitting right on top of and don't realize that you have. And then third, really important, are marketing assets. So sometimes those are live assets, if you will, like if you have a bricks and mortar location and you're touching people all the time, or if you have events or programs. There's obviously a lot of different media marketing assets, as well as online and PR and media partners and so forth. So anybody think of any other assets that I left out there? I wanted to at least have some interactive. I'm going to save lots of times for Q&A in a few minutes. But yes.
Well, the whole service delivery aspect, so your distribution channels, all the ways you reach people, and maybe intermediaries involved in that.
Exactly. That's a great one. So you really want to put on your hat and think about the uniqueness of your organization and what those different assets are that you can bring to the table. The second thing I want you to look at, and I don't know how much you're doing this, but you really need to do this. You need to check out your competition. And I like to say it this way. You have mission competitors. So, people who do a very similar mission or sell a very similar brand. If you're a bank, there are lots of banks that have checking accounts. This goes for both sides of the partnership. But what you need to do is really find out, especially if you're the nonprofit partner, when you go and call on a corporate prospect, they've heard from 50 other people that week too. So how are you going to stand out and really make your nonprofit opportunity rise to the top? And so, you need to look at your competition, and we have a process for doing this, but I tried to give you a checklist so you could have a little bit of a do-it-yourselfer. So when we're doing it, we look at things like budgets and geographic footprint. What signature cause campaigns do they have in the marketplace, or what key relationships do they have that are unique to their brand? What does their online presence look like? What are their activation strategies? How are they bringing good corporate partnerships to life? What sort of media assets do they have? Who are their partners? Do they have celebrities? What are their unique selling points? So when you do all of that, it's really going to help you to take a look at how you can stand out. And so then this brings the point back home. So you've done your internal asset inventory, you've done your external competitive benchmarking, and then I want you to take back out this chart, and you can do it with that same pizza group, and sit and make a list. What do we have that we can deliver that will help our partners target a specific audience or generate positive publicity? So you take all those assets that you've learned about, and that's how you can really put together a dynamic plan to help bring them to life. So another really important point in bringing a successful partnership to life is securing team member buy-in. And I can't tell you of the clients that we've served, and we've served over 100 in our last 13 years. This is a critical point for everyone. You are really busy and focused on your particular goal or objective, and sometimes it's easy to forget that you need to stop and slow down and integrate your other stakeholders in the process as well. Can you imagine in this picture, if not all 4 teams can also perform their function, then this race car isn't going to go very far. So it's really important. And so I've made, again, a checklist of the people that you need to think about. So, of course, your boss. You want to make sure your boss is happy. But, you want to make sure that you have leadership buy-in, that if you have volunteers, if you're a nonprofit organization, that you have a board or maybe a development committee who is nodding their head along with your plan. We don't want any surprises. You want to look at the people who are going to help you deliver those sponsorship benefits. So your social media team, your event execution team, or anyone who is, no one likes to have someone come in their office and say, guess what, we sold a partnership and now I need your department to. So that's not really a popular meeting. So think about it, and you really need to think about it before you execute the partnership, while you're executing the partnership, and then afterwards to get feedback about what went well and what could go better. An important part of having a successful campaign is really factoring in the sales cycle. And so often, you know, we have a lot of pressures on us, whether it's the corporate side, you've been giving a key performance objective that you need to accomplish within this review period, or whether you're the nonprofit who is trying to hit a particular budgetary goal within this fiscal year. That's not how partnership works. You know, partnership takes into account both sides and both needs. And so you've really got to have a much longer view. And I'm not going to reveal the name of, I'm going to tell you the story of two of our clients. Both of them are very well known national brands who have extremely high awareness. If I were to say them, I promise you every person in this room would know them. And for one of them, we are working on selling a campaign that's going to launch in 2017. And we have had, we call it a little bit like, have you ever heard the expression shooting fish in a barrel? We have had so much success getting out to partners. The first one that we talked to said, well, you know, I mean, this is a great organization and all, but, you know, I mean, I can't possibly activate by April. This is February. We're like, oh, by April 17th? They're like, oh, you're a year ahead? You're more than a year ahead? And it made all the it's making all the difference. And I have another nonprofit with an equally fertile mission and an equally great awareness who is still trying to force a summer campaign that starts in June. And they're still trying to sell it. And it doesn't matter how wonderful you are. If you're not in the right sales cycle, it just isn't going to happen. So I think, yeah, I thought I went past this one. So I really just want to really slow down and break down the process into the multiple steps that it takes. So you have to identify your prospects, introduce them, meet with them, learn from them, customize, go back again, and have that conversation. I mean, usually 3 to 4 times before you come to, at least 3 to 4 times before you come to agreement. So this is a, how many of you have heard from a key stakeholder in your organization that doesn't understand what you do, that says, okay, well, that's great, we're going to do that partnership. Now, how long is that going to take? So I've had that question so many times in my life that I finally decided a couple years ago that I would survey some of my friends who have experienced this same thing. So I went out to, this is about 15 friends. They had worked at about 25 different nonprofits, and I said, okay, so how long does it take you to sell something? And there's a whole bunch of different information, but I want to zero in on this one. So 80% of the people said that 80% of the time they can close a renewal in 0 to 6 months, or 100% of the time within a year. Whereas on the far end, a cold call, most of the time a cold call is going to take you more than 18 months to close. And so that's the point of this, is that you need to think about whether it is a renewal or an upsell or an inbound lead, which can close a little faster, or maybe an introduction to a key opinion leader. But most of us are doing a lot of cold calling, and it can be successful, but you just need to factor enough time. So that research was so interesting that we decided that was really a survey. It was more like some of Mollye's friends who she knows does this for a living, right? So this year we decided to beef that up, and so we have gone out with a professional research firm to independently pull the data without any of my influence. To pull the data to get these opinions, and we're just a little bit shy. The results are going to be premiered on June 1st. So again, if you want to give us your business card, I'll be more than happy to send you a copy of the full results when they're available. You can certainly go to our website and download them, or however you prefer to get the information, but I just want to make you aware that it's available. And what we do is we look at three kinds of partnerships. So we look at sponsorships, and we define that as primarily a cash exchange. So I'm going to sponsor this event. We look at integrated partnership, which is where there's a relationship and both partners are activating. And then we look at employee-directed partnerships, because that's the thing right now. You got to be able to do some of those too. And then I also just want to talk 2 more factors in executing a successful campaign is implementation. So what this slide is meant to depict is that it's all about time and money. And so from a money perspective, you need to make sure that you are factoring in all the costs that it's going to take to bring your partnership to life. Not just the sponsorship fee, but the activation cost and the human resources to bring it to life. And if there can be contributed goods and services or advertising and marketing to support the effort. So take a broad-based view of your budget. And also from a timeline perspective, remember this is a partnership, so you both need to be working together on how you're going to bring this to life. I know this seems really basic, but I can't tell you the number of times that a really good idea falls down because it wasn't executed properly. So this is not, sexy, exciting, videos, but this is the brass tacks that it takes to be successful. And then we even put together just a really simple little project timeline. Again, if you're interested, all this can be a worksheet for you later, and we'll send you the slides. And then last but certainly not least, it's really important to measure. And it's important for your milestone, for your own organization, as well as for you to be able to tell your partner what you were able to accomplish. So again, we've given you a variety of different possible measurements that you can use, whether it's sales and fundraising or impressions, or how many names were you able to capture, or how many likes did you get, and so on and so forth. So with that, I will, if I'm allowed, take a couple of questions, if anybody has any. Yes. Yes, we absolutely, if you want to just give your card to Jennifer or to me, we will absolutely get you the slides so that you can use these as a checklist. Okay, great. Oh, sure, absolutely. That one? Okay, no problem. Yes.
I just have a comment. Thank you so much for this presentation, but also I just wanted to add a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Sure.
As far as buy-in, especially inside nonprofit organizations, it's also important, of course, to have the buy-in of the program people. Mm-hmm. So people who are actually delivering the service. The
program deliverers. That's what I was saying. Yeah, it is. And so often salespeople are beloved because they're bringing in the money, but they're hated because they sell things that can't be delivered. So don't be that salesperson. Sorry.
And also from the corporate side, many corporations are now looking for skills-based volunteering, not only going out and painting a wall or fixing up a school, but also skills-based volunteering with pro bono work. Maybe if they're an accountant, they can help the organization with accounting, anything like that is also what the corporations are looking for.
Yeah, and I want to add on to what you're saying. I'm glad you made that point. And I'll just say that also, corporations are looking at that as a leadership development opportunity. It's a way for them to take someone who is growing in their organization, a young up-and-comer who isn't ready to lead a department yet, but can maybe go and lead a project. So, really think creatively. It's not always just people who can paint a wall. It can be people that can really help you advance your mission, especially social media and things like that, help you with strategies and activations.
I had a question. I wondered if you had any experience with working with nonprofits, but the nonprofit being more of a silent partner, where maybe they weren't well known, they didn't have a lot that they could bring to the table from a branding or exposure standpoint, but what they could bring to the table was the ability to implement, because they're in a specific country or doing specific work. The company wants to have a program, the company wants to raise money for that, but more of a silent partner implementation only part.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, and I actually want to take it in just a teensy bit of a different direction. So absolutely, that's why I want you to use that asset checklist and really think about, we have boots on the ground in these areas, or we have, I'm going to borrow on one of our clients, and they're not here today, but I don't think they would mind me sharing some of the stories. We've had a lot of challenges helping. Has anybody ever heard of Prevent Blindness? Okay, one person. Two people. It's not a well-known organization. They don't have a big household name, but boy, they have content galore on diabetic retinopathy, and diabetes is a huge issue. So, we have been able to go out and cultivate a lot of good partnerships around bringing this great diabetes information they have, because so many companies need to reach that audience. So it may be footprint in another country, or it may be boots on the ground somewhere, but it could also be your content, your knowledge of the marketplace, your access to key stakeholders. Remember I said celebrities, it can be glamorous ones. It can also be the head of the Ophthalmologist Association. He's a celebrity too, he or she. So think about it. Really encourage you to have that pizza brainstormer where you bring in a lot of perspectives from your program folks and others that will help you see your assets in a different light than just the traditional sales approach. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, is there one more? Sure. Okay, sure.
Okay. So on the flip side of that is nonprofits bringing the goodwill of their organizations to the table.
Absolutely.
Corporations wanting to leverage that in some way. Can you give any examples of where that has gone wrong, in which the nonprofit hasn't really benefited in any significant way, or in fact been taken advantage of or exploited? And what could be done to address that?
Okay, so how many of you are familiar with the Attorney General's guidelines? Okay, there should be 100 hands going up in here. They were drawn for that reason, okay? And I will give you an example from the Attorney General guidelines that led into the development of those guidelines. So American Cancer Society, and I'm not trying to be, not picking on anybody, I'm just sharing one from the marketplace, allowed their logo to be put on Nicorette gum, and it seemed like a perfectly reasonable promotion because, of course, they want people to stop smoking. But it wasn't explained. It was just a logo on a box, and the consumers were confused, and they thought it was an endorsement, or they thought it was an ACS brand, so there are times when it can go wrong if you don't adequately take into account the need to clarify and communicate each partner's role. Did that help? Oh yeah, okay, so Jennifer's suggesting that I also mentioned there are two different guidelines. There's the Attorney General guidelines, and then there's also the Charitable Better Business Bureau guidelines. You know what, let me just, I was trying to not take my time, but I do just want to share with you, this is a snapshot from one of our web pages of resources. So one of our missions in life is that we like to resource people in this field with things that will help you do your job better. And so we have some research studies that you can download. We have a very robust blog that goes into lots of things. And if you go into that, we can get you information, get you all the Attorney General guidelines and Charitable Business Bureau and our take on how you stay safe with them, etc. So if you're interested in that sort of really tactical stuff, we're happy to help.
Mollye, have you run into the Charity Navigator ratings as well as FTC and Federal Communications and Federal Trade and Consumer Protection? I'll read those.
Yeah, okay, so we're listing a lot of the different guidelines that are important. Absolutely, I don't mean to imply these are the only two. There's also just the good old-fashioned sniff test that you want to make sure that what you're doing is going to pass muster. Okay, I'm going to be around, so if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you for your time.